Yo, GM, lads, what is good? It's your boy Rapture. Just give me a second, just doing all those housekeeping things, making sure I got the post send out and all that stuff. Let me get rid of this banner because I'm not going to be live soon. We are live now. How's everybody doing? I see my homie JJ in the chat. What's good, JJ? My ride or die homie. How is everyone doing on this fine Thursday afternoon? We got the BTC one-day chart up. Put in a nice move yesterday. Did not catch that move though, personally. We'll get into why in a little bit. Just gonna make sure everything is good to go. How's the mic? How's the mic volume? Can anyone in the chat let me know if the mic sounds loud enough and clear enough, if the music is low enough in the background, and then we'll get this underway. Microphone check, 1 2 1 2. Microphone check, 1 2 1 2. Check, checker. All good, says JJ. All right, my dude. How we doing today? We got about 20 people with us here at live. Some people are trickling in. We'll let them trickle in a little bit longer. But we're going to get this underway. Welcome, welcome to Rapture's Scalp and Swing Sessions, number 19. We're little lunch levels. We're going to do a little lunch levels. Today, we're going to focus on our high time frame levels. We're going to map out and mark out some new levels and get rid of some levels that may not be relevant anymore as prices moved. We're also going to talk about bias and focus and how a bias that I held on the chart, as well as divided focus, led to shit execution this week. And how one of my core guiding principles or guiding rules for my process is not to get hung up on bias and let the levels do the talking for me, and how my divided focus meant that I did not listen to that rule and that I was half-assed focusing on the market while doing some other things, working on a project right now. A lot of the infrastructure for that project that I'm hoping to have wrapped up really soon because I got to get back to locked in on the charts. And we'll take a look and explain why levels and those interactions are the guiding principle for my process and trying to not be hung up on any sort of bias. I want to give a shout out to the good folks over at bingx.com. Use code Rapture for sign-up bonuses when you do. Okay. Let's take a look at I adjusted some of my layouts recently. Not my battle station, not my intraday scalping battle station, but I've adjusted my layouts up here to make it a lot more clearer for my progression. And I added to this used to be called Big 3, but now I've added SPX because it is becoming very important. Not that I'm really trading the SPX, or I'm not at all right now, but maybe given that equities have made quite a roar on chain lately with accessibility to trade them on chain. Maybe we might have to start doing that too. So we're going to start running some analysis on the SPX. Excuse me for that one. Zero Koku says, GM brother. GM Zero Koku, thank you for joining. Always a pleasure to have you here. So yeah, this is now called Radar. This used to be called Big 3, and it just used to be BTC, ETH, and Sol. But I'm incorporating SPX just as this is my Overwatch, so that I can get a good scan on the 4 major markets as price comes into certain levels, and I can make faster decisions on which asset to focus on to trade. Because as you guys know, I mostly focus on BTC, but I've been leaving a lot of opportunity on the table for larger moves on Sol, on ETH. You don't need to trade a million different altcoins. I'd like to stick to the majors, because not that the levels aren't reliable on altcoins, and we've talked about this before. It's just they're more prone to fake outs mid-move. So I prefer to focus on charts that I have a little bit more intimate knowledge of, that carnal knowledge, intimate. But as you can see, I have them all synced up, so I can look at any time frame, right? And they'll just sync like that, right? And I usually leave it up on the 4-hour, so that way I can see levels getting interacted with. Now we're going to clean up a lot of these levels, because it's a lot of levels going on. But you can see even on SPX, I hear often talk in circles, especially amongst order flow type traders, that trading the US indices is like a fool's game. I don't know, man. It's just level. Well, it's the same shit, right? Just level, right? Like, I don't know. I think sometimes it's really easy to overcomplicate things, especially for guys that are deep into order flow or are teaching about auction market theory and using order flow and teaching order flow, TPO and all that stuff. And like I said, I went down that rabbit hole over the summer, last summer. I didn't say just now, but in previous streams, and anyone that's been following along for a while, I've talked about how last summer I went deep down the order flow rabbit hole, looking for something to incorporate to my system, and it ended up not being for me. That's, to each their own, right? There's a million different ways to skin a cat, all kinds of different ways to analyze a chart and arrive at trades that work for your strategy or process. It just wasn't for me. And I, time and time again, just come back to high time frame levels being gospel. And that's why I just focus on them now. I can big screen this and we can just see, like, I did the same thing I approached it the exact same way that I approach BTC ETH. Any crypto asset, same way I approached that, I approached the SPX, right? I hadn't analyzed the SPX chart in a long time, and I just fired this up a couple days ago. I was like, I'm going to start monitoring that market, seeing if I can get signal from there. Turns out levels are levels, right? So what do we have on here, right? Like, I have monthly levels marked out of relevance. Then on weekly, I did the same thing that I do on chain or for crypto, right? I mark out the weekly range, which is the range quarters you see here. Swing levels, right? Now, this looks in danger of losing the weekly range low. There's still a day and change for it to recapture that, but it's looking in danger of making a lower low on weekly, which, yes, it's putting in weekly SFPs down here, so that's a counter signal, and that might have just been intraday. But if it loses this level here, right? And just so you know, US 500 index, it's just a different version of SPX. It's not a derivative, but it's not like the SPX chart. It trades the exact same. And also, I'm pretty sure it's open. It has futures involved as well. I need to confirm all that, because I might be talking out my ass. But from my understanding, is it's open more hours of the day than SPX actual. But you can see, right? And we have that daily bearish breaker, and you can see exactly what it's rejecting off of. You can just see how the levels be leveling. Levels are levels, regardless of what the asset is. That's why I tell people this strategy that I use, this process that I use, is applicable to any price chart. It doesn't matter the market, crypto, equities, indices, commodities, Forex. Like, it's all the same shit. It's just levels, right? Understand your high time frame levels and trade accordingly. So we're going to dig into BTC. We'll start on weekly. Now we can see, yeah, nice move off of that weekly range quarter level. All right, the weekly range quarters for the inside week. We're still inside that week and getting capped at this monthly level, right? Getting capped at that monthly level, just like here, when we put in that bounce, we got capped at that monthly level. Well, hopefully that's not what's happening here. But either way, you know, I try not to hold bias, and that's where I got a little bit tripped up this week. And we'll dig into that a little bit more, because as you guys know, we nailed most of the moves, but this week I didn't get you guys in that long, and I apologize. And we'll outline where the long was and why I didn't get you guys in it, and I apologize for that. Interesting to note, though, what's happening here. There's nothing to update on with weekly levels right now. You can go to daily. So look at daily. Good move off of that weekly range quarter, right? Had that outlined as a bullish breaker. And for some reason, it was this day. We were trading down here, and I was like, it's not looking so hot. And I sent in my Telegram. By the way, if you're not a member of the Telegram channel, Rapture's Tradebook, you can find a link in the description to the video on YouTube or from my bio on Twitter. What up, Moonar? GM, bro. I see you. GM. It's a free Telegram channel where I post charts and thoughts more frequently than I do on Twitter. Although I am going to start upping my content output. I don't know, my accounts have just felt kind of stagnant lately, and I'm trying to come up with a strategy and plan to get more reach to help more people on their trading journey. Because I was, a year ago, went and rebuilt my entire process because I wasn't happy with the results I was getting. My high time frame analysis was on point, but my low time frame execution was shit. So I went down a journey to rebuild my entire process. And that's what I teach during these streams and in the channel, in the Telegram channel, and on Twitter. It's what I talk about is my process and how process is everything in trading. Without process, you're just flying blind. You're just taking hits for no reason. You know, feel or gut. You know, it might work for some people, but for the most part, that's just bullshit. I like levels. That's what I'm all about. Okay, so we got BTC daily. Let's start updating some levels. Let's see here. So, looks to me like this level can get next. Boom, we're already down one level. I can see here we have this swing low that created this move. So I think we're going to move that up to here. All right, this is the swing low that created that move up. You all can see that. You can understand that. Swing low made the move up. We front ran a weekly range quarter level. We're flirting with the monthly level. I think this level remains relevant on a retest. I mean, it's touching this one right here. It's touching this one right here. But on this move up, we blazed through that level and that level. So I'm not going to try and muddy it too much. I think we'll leave this one for now. And this one and this one. We still are in a bearish daily range. This is our primary range, swing high to swing low. In a bearish daily range. We had a market structure break level there. We also had a market structure break level there. But it's close to that monthly range quarter, so we're not going to mark that one out. So these are our daily levels. Let's go H12. Okay, so H12, we start to see some things that might be important. We can move this over here. There's an H12 level, daily level, H12 level, daily level, daily level. Now we can also mark out on H12, we have this swing high. Still, the primary H12 range is a bearish range. This was a swing high to swing low. But these are just our levels of relevance at the moment. I think that's about all we need for H12. And remember, guys, I'm just marking out the swing levels. Right now, there are some down here. They're like, I think if we come back down, there's a bunch of levels here that are untapped on H12. I just don't want to muddy my chart yet. Once we get down into, you know what? Fuck it. Let's just put them. Let's just put them. Rather than guess. You guys know that I like to, rather than guess at things when price gets there, I just like to be prepared. Right? There we go. I think if price does come down to here, rather than just stop there, it probably takes out the lower one and the weekly range quarter level, but we'll just have them there for now. There's H12. Let's go to H4. Okay. A lot going on here. Okay, so let me break down where my bias and my divided focus broke down my execution. On Tuesday, right? Let's take a look on daily. I was talking about it in this candle. So yeah, on Tuesday, here we are on H4. Here is Tuesday from here to here. On Tuesday, I shared in the Telegram, I was like, lads, it's not looking so hot. I just think we see lower. And I let my focus wasn't 100% on the charts. In fact, it was very minimal. Probably like 20% looking at charts and 80% focus on this project that I've been working on. And I let feel, right? I just talked about how feel and gut is not a strategy. Well, I let feel. I was like looking at this. I was like, this feels like it wants lower. I think I used words similar to that. Like, this looks like it wants lower. Or I might have said this feels like it wants lower. Cardinal sin number one for me in my process is just letting the levels do the talking and not use, it wasn't even emotions. I was just looking at it. I was like, it feels like it wants lower. Well, in doing so, I had this H4 bullish breaker marked out. You can see it in the charts in the Telegram. Price was down into here, and I was letting my distracted focus and a bias, a gut check bias of thinking that it looked like it wanted lower. And I just ignored that we came in and took out a high time frame level. It ignored the price action into that level. So let's clean some of this up. And I will show you guys. So those are the H12 levels. These are H12 levels. Let's go to H4 and see if it keeps it. Okay. So I'm going to get rid of this. I'm going to show you guys how I fucked up and how I let my divided, apologies about that, but someone is blinging me off the hook. I'm going to check that later though. Oh my goodness. So forget about the fact that this level is drawn here because it wasn't drawn at the time, but we came into this high time frame breaker, H4 bullish breaker, which is a level. The extremities of the box are levels. It came into here and I ignored low time frame price action. All right, as price was coming into there, let's zoom back out. Where's the, oh, I need to make this visible. This time frame and below. Let's come in and see what that was. So here we go. This is that interaction there. And I completely ignored that we came in, tagged the level, chopped around, and printed an M5 bullish breaker, likely an M15 as well, if we come back over here. Yeah, it's an M15, printed the bullish breaker, and there was the long. And I let my divided focus and my feel bias cloud my analysis and ignored this, and I just didn't pay any attention. What's the point of this story, though? Well, it's to say I'm not fucking perfect. I'm still working on my process, working on improving my execution. You know, the majority of it, the blueprint and the framework that I trade around is there, but I don't catch every single trade. And I'm also okay with that because I know there's always another trade around the corner. But I do apologize that I did not flag this and present it to you guys in the Telegram to get on board the long, because that was a significant long, right? But this is, I'm going to delete this now, that circle. But this is the setup. This is the setup that I take all day long, right? Take out a high time frame level, print a breaker, whether that's a bullish breaker or a bearish breaker. You can even go granular on low time frames, right? Like, let's see, even on M1. On M1, you had the much earlier trade. Look at that. M1 takes at the level, flips the box, creating the bullish breaker, gave you an M1 SFP within the M1 bullish breaker. There was the long. And I just wasn't focused. It goes back to something I talked about a few weeks ago about how trading is a full-time, trading demands your respect and your full attention when you're in the market, and you can't be half-assed. Now, I know that my attention's been divided for a reason. I'm trying to build something that will help me long-term. And I'll let you guys in on some of that information as it becomes a little bit more tangible about what I've been working on. But the lesson remains. You can't be half-assed in the market if you're trading intraday. Or, I mean, any trading, any time frame of trading. But it just different levels of commitment that you need to have to it, right? Like the higher the time frame that if you just trade high time frames, it's a lower touch trading experience than intraday execution. And this is like bread and butter setup for me. Take out a high time frame level, print a print or breaker, whether that's bullish in this case or bearish, right? Like we can even come up here. Well, we didn't take out a high time frame level here. What we would have to see is here. You have an H4 setup here, right? Actually, hold on one second. It's actually right here. All right? Takes out a level, puts in a swing low, right? You can see this was the swing low that was printed. We just had an H4 close. We're back within that monthly level there, right? You had an H4 swing low printed here. Then you got the close below, retest into it. There it is, right? Like none of this is about hindsight quarterback and hindsight like backseat driving. I'm just trying to show you guys the setups and explain that I fucked up and I didn't catch this long. Am I frustrated about it? Not really, because there's trades every day. Okay, let's get back to our H4 levels. Hopefully that gave you guys some insights. So these are H12 levels. I'm gonna get rid of this breaker now because it's done its job, right? We've got our H12 levels, daily levels. Let's continue zooming down into H4. So H4, we have a swing low here. We'll make sure this is H4 and below. And up here, we have an H4 swing high. So these are our current levels of interest. Now, I know for anyone that's newer in joining me on these live sessions, you'll say, well, that's a lot of levels you have marked out. But anyone that's been with me for a while will know, well, Rap likes to mark out his high time frame levels that could become relevant on price interactions, so that when price gets there, he's not having to go and back analyze. He's not having to go, hey, why is price doing something here? Oh, there's a level here. Let me mark that right now. It's no. I am prepared for when or if price gets to a level. I look at how price interacts with the level, and I look for my setups, similar to what I just outlined with that trade that was here that I missed because, yes, my attention was divided. But that's all it is, right? So that's why I mark the high time frame levels. So there's BTC. What's kind of interesting to me, no, this was not an SFP, but it is looking very much like a deviation and immediately back inside. So if daily candle closes back within this range and it can't get back above it tomorrow, not much, but trading lower is likely. It front ran an area of supply though, right? You guys, I spoke about last time that I don't really mark out supply and demand like I used to. I mark out breakers. Those are important to me, but supply and demand zones, I don't mark out as often as I used to. I just find that they cloud my interactions. Like when price gets to a level, if I'm right, I'll trade long, I'll trade short. It doesn't matter to me. But what matters to me is the high time frame level interactions. And so putting a big box as a target zone, that used to help me, right? Shout out to Trader Man. Shout out to Big Cheds. Shout out to guys like that mark out the box out there areas. And I still do for breakers, but that's because that's a setup. A supply and demand zone in and of itself is not a setup for me anymore. The setup starts with a high time frame level as a signal. Excuse me. So your SFPs or your fake outs, right? It's all about, right, SFPs. Wherever they occur, right? SFP into that weekly level. It's all about the primary signal being the high time frame level and the secondary setup, usually on a lower time frame or a mid time frame, and then the trigger on low time frame. That's how I operate. So having a big marked out supply and demand zone is more noise for me lately than actual signal, because that in of itself is never a trade for me on its own. Okay, so we have BTC marked out, marked and mapped. You know, if I had to, I think the next trade you're looking for is to take out this level as a long, right? Like come into here, trigger a long somewhere in here. Unless we push up into here, clip one of those, and then it's a short, right? But for now, kind of in the middle of nowhere. Yes, looks like we're losing this monthly level, right? Okay, let's move it along to ETH. Let's update our ETH levels. Go to weekly, see what's happening. Okay, took out a weekly range quarter level, held on the weekly range quarter level there. Nothing else to update. We're still inside week. Let's take a look at daily. Front ran that market structure break level. Took out an SFP'd up here. So this is interesting on ETH compared to BTC. All right, it took out that weekly range quarter level, but it was also a swing high. Clear SFP on ETH, right? Much clearer Now it's coming back and finding support on that weekly range quarter level. Let's go down to H12. See? Tagging an H12 level. Actually, I think we can get rid of this now. But we can probably bring it down into here. There we go. There's our H12 levels. If it comes down into here, it's taking this out, so we can just use that as our guide. There's our ETH H12 levels. I don't think I need to mark the top of that one, because if it comes and takes out up here, it's interacting with that market structure break level. Almost guaranteed. Okay, now look. Weekly range quarter level getting tagged, where it's finding support off of that H12 level, right? Let's just continue to mark out some of these H4 levels. Well, I think we can say here, it's probably more relevant than that one down there. Clean that up. See, and the same thing on Tuesday, right? Like this was Tuesday. This is that same thing that happened on BTC. Here it is on ETH. So let's take a look here. Let's see if there's something going on here that I can. Okay, so here's the M15 breaker. There's your M15 breaker. There's no market structure break yet. You did put a market structure shift in. Let's go to M5. So M5 did, right? I'm just showing you guys so that you know for your own analysis how to mark these out. This was the M5 swing high that took out the high time frame level and then printed a market structure break. And it closed above the box, retest, boom. It's retesting it again. There's reason to think that you can look for longs here. But I do like the M15. It's just such a wide, but you can see how it rejected up into here and put in SFPs, right? You see that, right? By the way, guys, if you have any questions, please feel free to pop them in the chat. Always welcome questions or comments. But you do have this M5 right here, right? Oh, and look at, you're getting some reaction. Got an M5 SFP, right? Like these are the things I look for. You have your M5 bullish breaker confirmed. It closed above this level here. Tagged it, retest, SFP into it. I mean, that was a long trigger. Beyond that, though, are there any other levels I would mark out here on ETH? Like, yeah, you've got that one up there. It just starts to get a little bit, but that's, you know, that's just, it's to be prepared. It's not about it looking the prettiest always. It's about being prepared for those interactions, right? This is looking promising on ETH. Let's just go back to BTC and see. Yeah, there's no level it's tagging here. That's the unfortunate thing. Okay, that's a lie, because it is taking out this level here. All right. Oops. Right? It is taking out that level there on BTC. So I mean, this is your M5. This is the setup here on BTC. It's tagged that high time frame level, and it's put in an M5 breaker, and it's holding. This is the long right here. You know, your invalidation is super clear and tight. It's right here. I don't know that it's high confidence for me right now, given how clean these rejections off this monthly level are, right? Lost it, retested, lost it, retested. But this is the long setup that I see right now. High time frame level, M5 flipped for the breaker. I almost think you want the M15 more though, right? And why do I say that? Because if you get the M15 breaker, market structure break confirmed, you're back above that monthly level. Now you do have a market structure shift style break right here, right? Closed above, retesting. In a scenario like this, where you're looking at a monthly level though, and given M15 is still really low time frame, I would be more confident if it flips that box. You might look at that and say, well, fuck, Rap, like we're giving up, we'd be waiting for almost a 1% move. Yeah, that's true, but you're not just buying, you're not seeing price come up here and you're buying the breakout. No. You'd be waiting for something with an M15 close above. It's probably going to do some shit like this. You're going to be like, oh, I don't know if it's ever going to come down. And then eventually, boom, 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 right? So you're actually buying back not that far from here. This is not picture perfect. It's going to be however the price is going to develop and unfold. But what you miss out on from here, whatever it ends up being, if this holds, you make up for in buying with the turn. Right now you're fighting the market because it hasn't proven itself that it wants to turn. You know, sure, if you're even on BTC, like BTC is too large of an asset. Like, is one person going to be able to move the market like that? Anyways, I don't think anyone here is trading books that size, so irrelevant. But there's the M15 outline. Again, like I said, M5 is confirmed. So if you are feeling trigger happy, like you want to be long right now, this is your setup. This is your M5 setup. I personally would rather wait for the M15 and then buy on a pullback, because we all know price trades two ways and it's not just going to go straight up. Even if it is finding a turn, you're going to get an opportunity to get a better positioned trade than this. This is just doing that, you know, starting to base, which is what you want to see for a turn. Anyways, your invalidation will be super tight here. That's what it is there. Let's go back to ETH, right? Same thing, right? I'll show you guys. We have the M15 here. Well, this is the M5. Same exact setup. Same exact setup on ETH. Okay? We'll come back to those in a bit. Let's check out Solana. Let's go to weekly. Solana looking a little stronger, right? It's down less on the day than BTC and ETH. But again, we're still trading inside week. We've taken out the highs of we took out the high of last week and from a few weeks ago. Still a bearish weekly range. Let's go to daily. So now this stings because I fucking outlined the bullish breakers, right? You had daily SFP, flipped it, came back and retested. I'm annoyed at myself that I let my divided focus and a bias based on feel cloud my analysis and execution. But it is what it is. You live and you learn. Well, we've now put in a daily SFP here, right? Yesterday, as well off this level here. All right, you can see this here. You can see it also SFP that level there, right? This breaker can still hold. Let's go to H12, see what we got. You can see how on, where was Tuesday? Tuesday was here. I think we can get rid of this. This is just mud and cloudiness now, but we can pull this over here. Right, let's just make sure that was not a daily level. No, it's H12. There's an H12 swing low there. Pop that one in there. Okay, there's our H12 levels. Let's go to H4. Oh, okay, interesting. Right. It's taking out an H4 level now. Is this Tuesday? It was Tuesday. Oh, look at that. It was all so clean. Again, I apologize, lads. I was not focused. So what do we have taking place here right now? Do we have something similar that we just outlined on BTC? And, okay. Let's take a look here. Okay, so this is your M15 breaker. It has not confirmed, but we can go to M5. Probably similar thing that happened on BTC and ETH. It has confirmed. And you can see the response off the breaker, right? Like, I'm not just drawing imaginary boxes after the fact because I can see them. It's always the same thing. It's the swing high that creates the wick. Sorry, in this case for a bullish breaker, it's the swing high on low time frame that creates the high time frame wick into the high time frame level. The wick of the SFP or sweep of the high time frame level, swing high that creates that wick, right? And we're back over here on H4. This is that wick that I'm talking about. This is that sweep or SFP. In this case, it's a sweep because it's not an SFP level. It's swept that level. Well, this is the swing high that creates that. Close above, confirms the breaker. That's the breaker. We went over to this quite a bit in, was it last session or the session before? I really dove into breakers. It's the same thing every time. You don't know what it is until you get a low set, right? And then you start marking things out and waiting for a market structure break like we had here. And look at it, picture perfect, right? Look at this. It was even in H4. So when a moment ago, when there was that other breaker up here that was outlined, it was off of that H4 setup for some shorts that I took yesterday. Okay, let's just clean some of this up. This level has been so important. But if it comes down and takes it out again, it's likely going to take that out. So I'm just looking to see if there's some levels that I can remove from here because this is pretty muddy now. I think I can get rid of that one. Boom. There we go. Okay, so that's Solana. H4, H12. Oops. H4, H12, daily. Let me switch this beat up real quick. It's been rocking for a while. Some a little bit more hyped up. Okay, let's take a look at SPX. There's a lot of levels going on in here. Daily SFPs. Is this level relevant? Is that okay? I think we can get rid of this level. Because we closed below it. These are those daily SFPs interacting with it again. H12. H12. Still within the daily range. I mean, look at how clean these are, right? I'll be upfront. I have not been trading the SPX, but looking at this, I might want to start. So, does the same thing apply? Here's a good, you guys can do this with me live right now as a good analysis experiment. Do those same breakers that I've been outlining for you guys apply on something like SPX? We're into a level right now. Let's find out. Well, there it is right there. There's your M15. It's moving expansively off of it, though. So I'm just kind of curious. Okay, so you had it confirmed on M5, retested, and boom. It may just be a case where you have to respond to these much quicker, and you're not waiting for a full return to it on something like SPX, right? Because there's a lot of algos trading on these. There's a lot of dedicated high-frequency trading shops. It's a much broader market. It is a much higher participation market. So when you get the signal, it may just mean having to respond much quicker. Let's take a look. Let's take a look at some of these other interactions and see. Like, let's take a look. I'm just going to outline them so that way when I go on lower time frame, I can see where they were. I just want to see, as a thought, as a experiment, an analysis, fact-finding mission, what these look like on low time frames. We'll start on M15. Okay. There's your bearish M15 breaker. So far, so good. Here's your bullish M15 breaker. Closed above, retested, boom. Let's keep going down this. Let's keep taking this analysis trip. Close below, boom. Okay, guys, so it's very clear. Right, like I've said before that it works on any market. Well, the evidence is here. Unfortunately for this one, you don't have a swing level that was set. So we might have to go down at something like M5 here. Aha. There she is. Closed above, retested, boom. I mean, the evidence is there. the evidence is there. On each of these these actual intraday swings, when taking out a high time frame level, just like we talk about every single session for our cryptographically secured assets, same shit's taking place and unfolding on SPX and most charts, probably every chart. You just have to adapt to the nuance of those markets, but you know, maybe you just stick to M5 breakers rather than M15 so that you're getting the trade, right? Let's even go down to M1, right? There it is on M1, right? Swing high that creates that high time frame sweep, close above, retest into it, M1 SFPs into that breaker, boom. I mean, the shit isn't magic, it's just price action, right? Rap might have to start trading the SPX. I still love trading BTC though, I'll be honest. Okay, lads. Well, where are we at? We're at 55 minutes. That was a really good exercise that we just ran. It's an analysis back test. The breakers are playing out on SPX. I would venture to guess that they do on the NAS as they do for any equities chart. You just got to learn the nuances about them, right? I know, it's a lot of fucking levels here. It's a lot of levels. That's what you got to do if you're trading intraday. If you're more focused specifically on high time frame swings, you're going to be a little bit more selective and not need to have levels like this marked out. This is how I trade. I trade intraday. I rely first and foremost on my high time frame levels. Right, and you can see those weekly range quarter levels, why they're important, right? Right? Like you may just think, well, why am I just putting range quarters on a weekly chart? Because those levels are important. They matter. Look at it's trying to get back above that weekly level. Look at that. It's trying real hard after this weekly SFP here. So now, what would the bull case be here? Weekly SFP. We need to find a high time frame breaker here. This would be the swing high on H12 that created that weekly SFP. That's a long way away. Let's see if we can find the same thing for H4. It's all the way up there. Not ideal. And H1 is just such low time frame, but you did have it right here. Weekly SFP, H1 bullish breaker. Retested into the H1 bullish breaker, H1 SFP into it. What's really opening my eyes here while looking at SPX, or the US 500, through the lens of the process that I built over the last year and the strategy that I use for trading, because I actually have not looked at a US index or equities chart since I've developed this strategy that I'm currently using. What's really opening my eyes here, and that doesn't make sense to me, is why people say, why you hear so many people say that it's an oversaturated market that's difficult to trade and you're trading against some of the best in the business. Are they overcomplicating shit? Are they overcomplicating it by using strategies designed to make you overthink? Just a little food for thought. Keep it simple. Rely on your high time frame levels. Like I see all the time, and it bugs me on Twitter. People that say that levels don't matter. And this in particular is like, not all of them, but a lot of flows-based traders or the quants and all that, right? It's like, levels don't matter. It's all about the flows. Well, fuck, I just proved right here that what matters is high time frame levels. I just proved right here. Right, even here, into that high time frame level. H1 bearish breaker, boom, retest, boom. It's really easy to think that trading needs to be overcomplicated. And I'm not getting heated or anything. I'm not calling anyone out at all, because to each their own. However you want to analyze a chart and however you want to trade a chart, whatever system and process works for you, and that's great. I just don't like the position that some people, it's like almost a level of arrogance, right? Where it's like, levels don't, like, I'm not saying what they do doesn't work or doesn't matter. It does for them. But I also know that levels are all I need. A little bit of a rant there. But this is been a bit of an eye-opening experiment or exercise or back testing, right? Like, that's part of the job, is going through and testing your strategies to see how they work across different markets and how they play out, and checking your strategy and making adjustments to your strategy based on the nuance of different markets. I'm seriously considering starting to trade some of these equities on chain. Well, we just outlined, right? We just mark our high time frame levels. Nothing crazy, nothing overcomplicated. This should be ETH. Nothing overcomplicated. We're just looking at our high time frame levels. Okay, let's do one quick zoom in to see how things are responding off of those breakers. Looking good. BTC looking good. ETH looking good. Sol looking good. It's struggling with the M15 though, right? Struggling with the M15. I wouldn't be long from here. I would wait for the M15 close above, long or retest. Maybe it's SFP into that box after it closes above. Could even be before it closes above, you get an SFP down into here. But right now, I would not be longing from here. This is not where I long from. This is not where I long from. Let's mark that back out. Why did I lose that? All right, lads. Any questions at all before I wrap this up? We're at an hour. I don't want to keep you held hostage here for a long one. An hour feels good, especially for lunch levels. Some of y'all got to get back to work. Some of you want to get on with your day. I'm also thinking about putting out some pre-recorded videos, in particular for certain elements and components of my strategy. You know, like the explanation on breakers, probably a good one. How I'm trading SFPs, the different indicators that I use, the different time frames, you know, other ways to get impactful, high impact, short video, so that, you know, I have a tendency to get a little bit long-winded in these live sessions. Some of them go on for like 2 hours. I got to cut that out. It's disrespectful to people's time. It's also disrespectful to myself. That's a long-ass fucking time chat. Okay, lads. Well, if there are no questions, I'm going to wrap it up. Again, there are longs setting up here. I mean, some of them have already completed the breakers. Others are in process. We've got M5 breakers confirmed on all of them. It's just the M15 that we're unsure of yet. The setups are there. Going to do a quick recap and wrap up. Once again, this has been Rapture's Scalp and Swing Sessions number 19. We do a little lunch levels today. We looked at high time frame levels, talked about strategy off of those levels, what we're looking for. We looked at BTC ETH and Sol. We did not look at hype. We did not look at hype. I forgot to do that. But we spoke about how this week I let bias driven by feel and my divided focus fuck up my execution. And how levels are my guiding philosophy, my guiding strategy, right? Trade what the level is telling you, and don't go into any trade or chart with a predetermined bias, especially for intraday. You want to let the levels do the talking. High time frame, yeah, have your bias determined and say overall, like, you know, on BTC, we may just be putting in a lower high before lower. But when you're approaching a chart from an intraday perspective, just show up to trade the levels as they unfold, and don't try and force your viewpoint or trades that don't align with what price is telling you at those levels. Give a thanks to my friends over at BingX, bingx.com. Use code Rapture for sign-up bonuses. Once again, I am Rapture. This has been Scalp and Swing Sessions number 19. And always remember, lads, process, patience, execution. And if you please, don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment if you enjoy these videos, these live sessions. Helps support my growth and helps me get better reach, so that we can help more people on their trading journey go from inconsistent to consistent and profitable. I am Rapture, and on that, I am out. Ciao, lads. Ciao.